Okay, please, the next slide. Okay, some of the contents that we'll be treating today are UI UX, product development lifecycle, UX matrix, UX research, and the various research methods. Please, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can. Oh.
Okay. So next slide, please. Next slide. Okay, so what is user experience or UX? User experience is how the user feels about interacting. So it focuses on how they use or experience a product, like their feelings, mood, or emotions, how easy they find the product, and how appealing the product is to them. We all use mobile apps or any product, be it chips, a chip is a product. So we all have our experiences, or in one way or the other, we've had good or bad experiences in life with products. So who is a user? A user is a person using the product. And a product is a good, service, or feature. So a product can be physical, could be a physical product, like a video game or a bag of chips. Any physical product whatsoever. It can also be technological products, such as mobile apps, websites, web apps, and so on. So user interface. User interface has to do with the aesthetics of the product, how it looks, the visual design. The difference between a UX and UI is that the UX deals with how the product feels, while the UI deals with how it looks. So from this image here now, you can see the intersection between UI and UX is called UI UX. Next slide, please. Okay, moving on to the next, we'll be talking about the product development lifecycle. Yes. Every product in life or that we want to build has certain stages or specific set of steps that it passes through before it turns into a finished product. So we have 5 stages in product development lifecycle. So the process used to take a product from idea to reality is known as the product development life process, which includes brainstorm, define, design, test, and launch. The next slide, please. So the brainstorm session or the brainstorm stage or phase is the first stage of the process. That is the product development lifecycle. And it's an active discovery stage that involves gathering ideas about the user and potential needs, challenges the user might have. The product development lifecycle is where you start thinking about an idea for a product. You review feedbacks from the research. Okay, before the brainstorming stage, you should already have a user problem that you want to solve. If you don't have, you should start with you should start with thinking about the user problem that you want to solve. So, for instance, if you are building an app to help students now, you can start a brainstorming session by listing common problems students face. Be it maybe common problems that the students face. What are the likely problems that we face in school? Transport, maybe light issues in the hostel, no water. So you have to think of a problem to solve. So prior to the brainstorming session, you should already have a user problem that you want to solve. So the brainstorming session involves thinking of an idea for the product. So the next stage is the define stage, and it is the second stage of the product development lifecycle. So in the define stage, it involves using the insights gotten from the brainstorm stage to narrow down the focus. In the define stage, the goal is to figure out the specifications and features of your product. Okay, let's assume you are building let's say a to-do list for students to be able to keep up with their tasks. In the define stage, you think of the features, various features that the product is going to have, and bear in mind that a product can only solve one problem at the same time. So you should try to focus on a problem and don't bombard your product with too many features, because the product can only solve one problem at a time. So moving on to the next, we have the test phase. So this involves the designing the actual, the design phase. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we
can.
can.
Yes, we can hear you.
Sorry, am I moving too fast?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you. No.
Yes, you are.
No,
Yes, you are. You're moving quite
You're
fast.
moving too fast. Yes, please. You're moving too fast.
Okay. Noted. So the design stage involves implementing the actual design. Prior to the define stage, you should already have narrow your okay, sorry about that. So we're talking about the design stage. This involves implementing insights into new design using various tools. So in the design stage, it involves building the actual product, which includes drawing wireframes, creating outlines or sketches of the product, prototypes, and high fidelity designs. You can use various tools such as Figma, Adobe XD, Sketch, Illustrator, and the likes to implement your design. So the test phase involves evaluating the product design based on the feedback of the potential users. So in the test phase, UX designers work with UX engineers to create functional prototypes, which also include writing the code and implementing the actual product. So in the test phase, you already have a full working design or product. You then test the product you can test the product internally with your teammates, or if you're working individually, you can test the product. You can also test the product with your potential stakeholders. Let's say you're working for a company. So you test it with your potential stakeholders before passing it out to the users, as those that are going to actually use the product. So the last stage of the product development lifecycle is the launch stage, and it simply involves sharing a finished version of the product with the public. There you have, if I don't know if you guys have heard of beta versions of products. That's what they call launching. For instance, WhatsApp, this GB WhatsApp that we have then, or that we have now, it was in the beta version for some time. So that's what when they launch, when you launch your product, you take it out to the market for them to for actual users to use it, and you get feedback from them. The feedback will determine how you improve on the product, if the product is successful, and things to consider. Sorry, the next slide. So that brings us to the designing for a good user experience. We have all been talking about UX, UX. So designing for a good user experience it is also referred to as the UX quality matrix. So for a user to have a good experience, the product must be usable, equitable, enjoyable, and useful. Like the image we have here now, all four of them equals to a good UX. Next slide, please. So the UX quality metrics. When we talk of usability, if a product is usable, it means the design, structure, and purpose of the product is clear and easy to use. That means when you use a product, you know where, for instance, now, if you download an app, you are able to flow with the app, you know how to navigate through the app. So you say it is usable because the app is clear and easy to use. So when we talk of usability, we ask questions like, is everything in this app or design easy to find? Can I locate the home button? Can I do this and that on the app? So we ask questions like, is the functionality easy to understand? Can I achieve this specific task? Okay, let's say for instance, WhatsApp. Can I actually send a message, or can I actually receive a message? Like, is it functioning? Can it perform the task that it's meant to do? So that's under usability. Following up, we have equitable. Equitability in design is helpful to everyone. This is when the design is helpful to everyone, including people with diverse abilities and backgrounds. So when you talk of equitable, you talk of accessibility. People with diverse abilities, probably the handicaps, the blind, those that cannot hear, like the deaf and dumb. So equitable design, when the design is equitable, it caters for the needs of all these diverse backgrounds and abilities. So in equitable, when the design is equitable, we ask questions like, are the needs of a diverse group of users considered? Do you consider, okay, let's say, for instance, a blind person? Did you consider them while designing your product? Some people have color blindness. Did you take those factors into consideration? The next is enjoyable. When we talk of enjoyable, it means the design delights the users and reflects what the user may be thinking and creates a positive connection with them. So as a
Latifa, are you there? Because I can't hear you anymore. Or can you guys hear me? So let me just not from my end, please.
Yes,
Yes,
we
we
can hear
can.
you.
We can't hear you. So we can't hear Latifa. Latifa, can you hear me? Okay, I think while she's coming, to not to waste your time, I'll keep on going through what she's teaching. Is that okay with you guys once she comes back, or do you want us to wait for her?
Continue teaching us.
You can go on.
Please go on.
Okay.
Please go on.
Okay, thank you. Okay, great. So Latifa, when you come, you just interrupt me, please, so we can get to this. Great. So she was talking about enjoyable as a quality metric for user experience. So for instance, if you are shopping, right? If you're shopping on any web or app platform and you see that the process is getting stressful, I could give you an example is our for people that are in lag for your balloting process, right? You open the software, you open the website, and then you see that because it's such a stressful experience, you don't want to continue. That's bad UX, that's bad user experience. And that causes people to leave the website, to leave the app, or you're trying to order from Domino's and you see that the app is hanging or whatnot. So if it's not enjoyable, it counts as bad user experience. Then an important one is useful. So if you create any type of user experience or user interface, and you notice that for people, it's not solving that direct problem. Let's say you are going to rush back to the pizza app, for example, is you're on the Domino's app, and then you see that app is not helping you pick out the toppings you want to put out on that app, or it's not helping you say you're delivering to this exact location on the map. Like it's telling you that they only have locations for EYI, location for Abule directly. It's not solving your direct problem for getting pizza that day. That's what counting as bad user experience, right? I'm seeing a hand up. Could you save your questions? Please just write them down. And for Latifa, I'll answer at the end of the class. Just so that way we can get everything for you guys because of time frame that we are currently on. So this screen, it shows examples different between bad UX and good UX. As if when you're here, just interrupt me, so I'll stop this teaching for you. So one thing you guys will have noticed from the bad UX screen and the good UX screen, there's some differences and similarities. But one thing that's very consistent is the idea of less is more. So if you notice, the bad UX site has, let's start from the top header. Header is the first part on the top screen there. Start from there. The header, you can see that there are lots of drop downs. That's the down arrow on that top header part. You can see my mouse on that part here. That means that there's more content to view there. Now you see that even this hero section, this big section that has this arrows left and right, that means you can still check more contents there as well. Come down a little bit, see that this section has lots to read, lots to read, and the footer here has lots to read as well. You notice that if you come on a website that looks like this, you will leave very early. You will never read any of things on the website because it's cluttering you with information that you might need, but you cannot view at once. That's bad user experience. That is putting you in a loop of trying to absorb as much as you can absorb small amount of time, and then you end up not getting anything out of the website completely. But look at the good UX site, right? By the right, you see that everything is summarized and simplified. There is an inherent problem with people think that they can multitask. So human beings believe that we can multitask, but that is very, very far from true. You can't do things at once. You can't also take too much information at once. You cannot come and see in UNILAG website and see that everything is full of information that you cannot directly handle. It spoils your user experience. So less is more with user experience most of the time. Less helps you to absorb information better, to know what to do next, right? Imagine you come on the website now, you see that, let's look at the bad UX one, you see lots of drop downs, buttons to go left, right, and you don't know what to do. But you come on, there's one main button here, if you were to go somewhere, or maybe the logo to go to the home page or to the dashboard. So that helps you to redirect your attention to what is really important on the page, right? If you guys understand so far, just put a thumbs up, an emoji. If you're lost, put tell me I'm lost or something in chat box. I can help you and come back to something, okay? So that way we'll not face any problems. Let me check chat box, know what's up. Okay, I think everybody's doing all right. So if you have any problems, just put in chat box or no. I think there's a question, but just take questions to the end of the class, please. That way it helps us move as fast as possible so that we can get your content. So yeah, how UX solves problems. Now, user experience, the task user experience. I'm going to generalize that because there's a difference between user experience as the topic, experience as the task. As the task, I mean that as user experience designers, as that means as us here, there are things and rules that we can do that help solve problems. All right. So when you are learning UI UX, there's a lot that comes into that role, that heart, that weight on your shoulders. It's not just come and design an app screen. It's not just going to design a website. That's far from me. That's why our first class for this track, which is the first thing we've done in most years of ECX, is to give you guys design foundations. And if you were on Joyce, because you know that design foundations surpass just visual aesthetics. They are about problems. That means, what if you notice, that means that graphic design, sound design, shoe design, whatever thing you're designing, it's not about how it looks, it's about what problem is it solving inherently. That's what we do as designers in general. UX design is about how do you solve people's experiences problem. Sorry. Whoever that, can you just mute? Okay, thank you. Okay. Yeah. So what we're trying to achieve here is, you can see this umbrella chart now shows that. Let's start from the left. So it starts with visual design, right? So first thing is, as a UX designer, as a UI UX designer, you have to understand visual design. That's part of what John started to teach you guys, with some rules that are set in stone, like scale, contrast, hierarchy, and likes. And then you move on to information architecture, which we're going to get into in our next classes, is how do you arrange information? I'll show you, let me move back to this page to explain that information architecture very well, is how do you arrange all of this content in a way that people can come and understand, right? A good way to explain that is, imagine this section now, this circle, the top left of this good UX. Imagine if you click on this section now, it takes you to newsletter. That would be very, very confusing, because everybody knows that normally when you see a logo in top left in any website or app, that will link you to the home page, right? Okay, I think Latifa is back. Latifa, are you back? Can I meet? Let me know if you're back. Okay. So that's what information architecture is. That's how do you arrange information on a page. You guys should really know all these concepts and read up on them on your own, because you can't cover everything in depthly in your class, but some of them covered up for you during the course of these coming weeks in your class. Interaction design, which is the third one here, is when you do X, what Y will happen to cause an effect. It's trying to talking about if you interact with any platform and you're the UX design, let's are you here?
Hello. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. Can you just continue from interaction design on this slide you're on? Is that fine? Can you continue from here? Okay, great. I'm muting back.
Where do I start from? Interaction design.
Yes.
Okay, so when you talk of interaction design, talk of how an app or a product functions, like how you move from one feature to the other, like how you navigate through the app, what happens when I click on this button, what happens when I click on that button. That's basically what interaction design means. And we have a field called interaction, like people actually specialize in interaction design. Moving on to usability. Usability is it's like how your product is being used. Usability, you conduct usability studies, see how users use your product, see if it's actually working. Usability studies can be carried out after or before the launch phase, or after the design or during the design phase. So user research has to do with gathering data from your potential users. It could be through interviews, surveys, and the likes. Usability studies or usability also falls under user research. So when you have content strategy, now talks about the content of your product, how you like construct the language, the terms of your product. In UI UX design, we have what we call copywriters, UX copywriters. So they are or UX writers. They're the ones that are in charge of like making sure that the language relates to the design. They work on the button language, the content of the design. That's basically what they do. So content strategy is probably how you strategize, how you structure the content of your product so that your users can understand your product and relate with it very well. For instance, if you're using an app now and the language or the content doesn't follow the function of the app, users can get easily frustrated by that. So they make sure that the content aligns with the product. Next slide, please. Okay, so what is UX research? Next slide, please. When you hear user research or UX research, any of it, it focuses on understanding user behaviors, their feelings, their emotions, motivations through observation and feedback. So user research can be conducted before the design and before you start building anything, before the product development life cycle. Before you start actualizing your product, you conduct user research. You also conduct user research in the third phase of the design and also in the last phase. So under user, and there are also various methods to conducting user research in which we are going to see. So primary research, when we talk of primary research, we talk of research that you conduct yourself, one-on-one, directly with the users. It could be surveys, interviews, usability studies conducted by you directly with the users. So secondary research uses information someone else has put together. It could be information from books, articles, or journals. So under UX research, we categorize research under qualitative research and quantitative research. What does qualitative research mean? It means it explores users' attitudes, behaviors, and opinions. It also provides key insights into understanding the context behind why trends and patterns arise. Qualitative research is based on interviews, where you focus on small groups or number of users and understand their needs in greater detail. Qualitative research uncovers the why. Examples of qualitative research include user interviews, field studies, usability testing, and customer calls. So we have quantitative research, which explores large sample sizes of data to identify trends and patterns. So when you need a very large data, quantitative research is done. So it is often based on surveys. When you carry out surveys on large group of people using numerical answers, so it focuses on how many and how much. So qualitative research uncovers the why, or how did this happen. For instance, in the case of an interview, a user interview, you can ask questions like, why did such thing happen? Why don't you like this feature? What's wrong with it? Or how did this happen? Because you're dealing with like a small number of groups or users. But for quantitative research, which is based on surveys, you can include a very, very large number of questions on your surveys. Since it's not, you can just like send out surveys and get a lot of answers from users. But interviews is always based on like few groups of people. So qualitative research gives the what. It also answers questions like how many and how much, like the name implies, quantitative. So examples include surveys, analytics, and A/B testing. Next slide, please. So I've been talking of user research. So what are the roles of user research in the design process? Next slide. Okay, user research helps us to align the products with our ideas. Like, it takes a very key role. It happens all through the product development life cycle. So it serves as a roadmap while building a product. So before actually building a product, you have to like conduct user research to know to know the needs of your users. Actually, sometimes you might probably say, okay, oh, student needs probably let's say a tracking app or something. Then you need to conduct user research to probably to know whether they actually need this stuff or you are just assuming. So UX design is based on research, not and facts, not on assumptions. So you have to know, put yourself in your user's shoes, know what your users actually want. And you can never know this unless you conduct research. So there are two key parts to every UX design project: conducting research to learn about the users you are designing for, and gathering feedback about their perspectives. Gathering feedback in the sense that probably when you are done with your product, you push it out and let them know. You let them use it and experience it and get feedbacks as to if the product was useful or not, if it actually matches or solves their problem. UX design is all about putting the users first, and research helps understand those users. By putting the users first, we mean considering their challenges, their goals, their problems, their emotions, and building a product to solve those problems. UX research also aligns what you as a designer think the user needs with what the user actually needs. Like I said before, you don't just want to start building stuff, okay, based on your own prediction or assumption. You might feel that, okay, the world needs a particular app, but in reality, they don't actually need this app. But you can never know unless you conduct user research. Next slide, please. So when do we conduct user research? Like I said, UX research never ends. You conduct UX research or user research all through the product development lifecycle, because it helps and guides the designers, or it acts as a roadmap, like puts you on the right track. Am I actually doing this thing right? But the best time to do user research is before you even start designing. Before you start designing the product, you conduct user research. This will help you set a solid foundation and ensure you are tackling real problems instead of imaginary ones. Don't just assume that users actually need this product. You need to know and be sure that they actually want or need this product. So as a UX designer or UI UX designer, before you build a product, you have to conduct research on the users to find out if they actually need this product. So when do we conduct user research? We conduct user research before the brainstorm session, during the design phase, and after the launch phase. That's the last phase of the product development lifecycle. So research can be categorized into three parts. We have foundational research. Foundational research is done before you start designing, and it happens during the brainstorm stage. So in foundational research, you do things like interviewing, creating empathy maps, user personas, pain points, and so on. You find out user problems, their challenges, what they actually need, and you think of a solution to their problem. So when you get the data you get from your user research is what it's going to put you on the right track while during your brainstorming session. Here you start figuring out what and how to solve their problems. What products what you think of solutions to solve these problems. The next is design, which is also known as tactical research. It is done during the third phase of the product development lifecycle. That's the design stage. This is done to make sure that your design aligns with the user needs. When you're done, maybe prototyping a design, you have to conduct research if users can actually use this product. Can they navigate through this product? Is this product solving their problems? All this is categorized under the UX metrics, quality metrics, usability, enjoyable, equitable, and useful. So you need to know. Then you gather feedback from this design research and use the feedback, put the feedback into consideration and adjust your design to solve their problem. The next one is the post-launch research, and it is done after the design is complete and your product has launched. Here you test it with actual users, done to help validate that the product is meeting user needs and to ensure success of the product. There are some apps now that we have on Play Store that people don't really download or use. Or some apps that, for instance, some of us might have like downloaded few apps and probably you don't use it all the time, or it's stressful, you don't like the UI, you don't understand the functionality, you can't interact with it. You end up deleting it. If you don't delete it, you don't use it, you like keep it on your phone for a very long time. So post-launch research is done after design is complete to know if this product that has been developed is a success. So they share it out with actual users and get feedbacks from them on ways as to how to improve the product. Next slide, please. So conducting user research, we have various methods of conducting user research. We have the surveys, we have interviews, usability testing, A/B testing, and the likes. So what does interview mean? Okay, so interview, when we talk of interviews, we talk of asking, like interviews, you can conduct an interview one-on-one with your potential users by asking them likely questions about your idea or your product or the product you're about to build. So interviews are information on people's opinion, thoughts, experiences, and feelings. Like I said, it can be performed one-on-one or in a group setting, like a focus group. So it can take the form of qualitative and quantitative research. So when an interview is taking the form of qualitative research, it depends on the type of questions you ask. So a qualitative research method includes open-ended questions that requires the participant to explain their answers by providing more details. So when you talk of open-ended questions, you don't ask them, it's not a yes or no questions. You ask them questions that requires that they give you answers in details, not just a yes or no question. So benefits of interviews includes better understanding of what a user thinks and why. When you're talking to someone one-on-one, you'll be able to like see the person's reaction, how the person is reacting, whether angry or frustrated or excited, their actions, their behavior. So, sometimes they say actions speak louder than words. So They might actually be saying something different, but their reaction will tell you that this is what they mean. So benefits, another one is that it allows adjustment of questions or refocus the discussion based on the user's answers. When you're conducting an interview, you are talking to the person one-on-one. So it allows you to be able to restructure the question based on the person's response. Also, it gives the ability to ask follow-up questions in real life. Follow-up questions, these are questions that you ask after the user gives their response. So unlike surveys where you just have them click or give short answers, you can ask them for in-depth answers. So they give you the answers in details. So it also allows the ability to ask questions specific to users' needs. When you're conducting an interview, you might probably change the question based on the user. You might be thinking initially that this user needs a certain thing, but when you get to meet the user and talk to the user, you might now find out that this person actually needs a different thing. That's what we mean by asking questions specific to users' needs. But unlike surveys, you ask general questions for different users. For interview, you consider the set of users or group of a particular people or group of people. You also receive direct suggestions from the users. As compared to surveys, when conducting an interview, there is room for suggestions from the user, direct suggestions from the user. So drawbacks of the interview method, research method, it is time consuming to interview each user. Like I said, it is mostly done with like minimum of few people. Because of the time, it actually takes time than the other method of research. It's expensive to pay participants and to rent a space for the interviews. Sometimes getting a place or location to actually interview users or participants can be very tough. Sometimes you have to pay for the venue and you have to like give your participants probably souvenirs, sometimes food, to just thank them and show appreciation for their time and all. So it can be expensive to pay participants to rent a space for the interview. So the sample sizes are smaller due to time and money constraints. If I want to interview people now, I have to interview people based on my budget, my pocket. If I have money for just 5 people, okay, I plan to buy, let me say, Domino's pizza for my participants, and I can only afford to buy for only 5 participants. Whereas I need 10 people. I need to interview 10 people, but my pocket can only cater for 5 people. That's what we mean by the sample sizes are smaller due to time and money constraints. I can as well just decide to interview 5 people since I don't have enough money to cater for the 10 people. And that's going to like reduce data collection and point of view. Interviewing 10 people is way better than interviewing, let me generalize, interviewing larger number of people is actually better than interviewing other people, in the sense that you will have a lot of feedbacks from these people, which can help in your design. Next slide, please. So surveys is kind of like very general for a designer that is working alone. I mostly use surveys, and I got feedback from people that they use surveys a lot, because it's faster. So a survey is an activity where many people are asked the same questions in order to understand what most people think about a product. We have all filled a survey form one way or the other, Google Forms, Microsoft Forms, Survey Monkeys, and the likes. So surveys are great ways to measure the success of your product during development and after it's launched. For example, sending surveys after a product is released can help you measure the effectiveness of your product and provide a foundation for future improvements. Like I said, after product launch, you have to carry out user research. That's what we call post-launch research, to know whether the product is actually a success, if it actually fits or solves the user problem, so that you can also know whether to continue the production or
Do you want to
cancel
call her?
production. So benefits of surveys: you can learn more from a large sample size. Like I said, interviewing or getting feedback from a very large number of people tends to be useful and effective than as compared to smaller set of people. So with surveys are online. So or online surveys allows for a large set of people, large sample size, and you get different data from these people. Ability to gather results and insights quickly. So unlike interview where I have to schedule a meeting, plan the venue, time, location, and the likes, survey is online and it is faster because I can prepare a Google form today and send it out, like post it on my WhatsApp or social media, and I'll start getting responses in like minutes and seconds, depending on how fast it is. So they are usually inexpensive because they don't take as much time for participants to complete, and they can be done remotely. So once you have data, you can use survey because it is inexpensive. All you need is just data, carry out your research. So it is faster and inexpensive. So the drawbacks of survey: does not allow for in-depth feedback. When you send out survey, you have to be general about your questions because you have a lot of people, different people filling the form. So you have to be very open and general in asking your questions. And the responses are not really in-depth. Survey limits us to the highest you can get is long answer, and it can never be compared to a one-on-one interview where you have the users in front of you one-on-one. Can ask whatever question you want from the users and they will answer you, giving you detailed responses. But unlike surveys where the users just sometimes, if the questions are too long, you see people just don't really respond. Nobody likes long surveys and so on. But when you're conducting interview or when users are participating in interview, depending on how the interview is going, if it's interesting, if you are the kind of person that is open-minded and outspoken, you can as well engage the user. They'll tell you, they'll answer your questions in detail, provide you with reasons. But survey restricts us to just brief and short answers. So some types of research questions won't work in a survey format. Just like I've said, open-minded questions can work in surveys rather. So it does not allow for personalization. You have to be general. There are some questions that are specific to particular users. But in surveys, you have to be general because you don't know your users. You have different types of people or various people answering or filling the form or the survey. But unlike interviews where you choose or select your users, know them, and you know how to ask them questions, based on their kind of personality. For instance, if you are interviewing someone, if you start interviewing someone and you notice he or she is angry, you know, you yourself will know the kind of questions to throw at the person because you won't want to have them beating you up at the end of the interview and the like. So survey allows you to ask personalized questions, whereas interview allows you to ask personalized questions based on the kind of users that you are interviewing, whereas survey does not allow you to do that. Next slide, please. The next slide. Okay, so we have usability studies. So usability study is a technique used to evaluate a product by testing it on users. It helps demonstrate if a product is on the right track or if the design needs to be adjusted. So there are a lot of ways to test usability studies, both in person or online. So we conduct usability studies most times when we already have a working product. It could be your prototype, the prototype of your wireframes. So you can conduct, most times you conduct usability studies in the design phase and also in the post-launch phase. So in the design phase, after creating your wireframes, you can prototype it and conduct usability studies to know whether you are actually on the right track. So it helps demonstrate if a product is on the right track or if the design needs to be adjusted. When you carry out research, be it surveys, usability studies, you get feedback from users. So you work on those feedbacks and implement them on your product. So when you carry out usability studies with your wireframe, the feedback you get will put you in the right direction as to what you need to consider, probably to remove this feature or to add another feature. So after the post, also similar to the post-launch phase, you conduct usability studies to know if the product is actually a success, if users can actually use the product, if it's meeting their problems and solving their problems, challenges. So there are a lot of ways to test usability studies. It could be in person or online. So we have what we call moderated studies and unmoderated studies. Moderated studies can be referred to as an person or physical usability studies, whereas you guide the users on how to use the product or the app, how to navigate products, watch them and guide them on how to navigate the product. Unmoderated is online. So you give them in all alone to use the app, locate the features, interact with it without any guidance. Or all you need to do is okay, we have websites for conducting usability studies such as base.co. All you need to do is insert the link of your prototype or your high fidelity, any prototype whatsoever, and your prompts, and send different users the links. You can also get feedback from it's a web app. You can check it out, base.co. So the benefits of usability studies, you can learn more from first-hand user interaction and observation. If you are conducting a moderated usability studies, you are with the person and you can see where the person is getting it wrong. You are learning it firsthand. If the person does not know how to locate a particular feature or does not know or is lost with the app, you can tell. So that's first-hand user interaction and observation. You get to observe the user, unlike unmoderated usability studies, where the users are left alone to use the app and give you feedback. It can challenge your assumptions about your product by demonstrating a completely different result than you were expecting. Users can also provide in-depth feedback with usability studies. So you get feedback directly from the users immediately. So drawbacks of usability studies, it only measures how easy it is to use a product. It can be expensive, just like conducting an interview can also be expensive to conduct usability studies. You can imagine if you are building an app for someone outside Lagos and you want to conduct usability study. It's either you go and meet the person or the person comes to it can also be expensive. There can be difference between a controlled usability study in a lab versus how a user experiences the product in real life. When you test a product as a designer or with your team, it can be different as to how user experiences it. If I build an app with my teammates and we conduct usability testing, we won't really have much problem, or we can't tell because we are the ones that built the app. Be the same as we testing it out on actual users that you need. You might feel that, oh wow, this color is actually nice on this screen. But conducting the test or research on actual users that are going to use your product can give you a different turnout. It can actually be that they can't see the screen, probably someone that is colorblind and like next screen, please. Next screen. So an example of user research conducted for a pizza delivery app. Like I said, user research divided into three. We have the foundational research, the design research or tactical research, and the post-launch research. So for a product that you want to build, as a designer, you think of a product that you want to build, or you find out a user problem, and you've come up with a product, likely product that you want to build, or that is going to solve the user problem. You conduct foundational research. So user research conducted for a pizza delivery app. The steps taken, you define your research. Why am I carrying out this research? What are the goals of the research? Because some people, you can't just send a survey or start interviewing users and start asking them questions. You have to like tell them the goal and your reason for conducting this research. So they will understand better and give you the answers that you need. So you define your research or research goals. Number two, you choose a suitable method of research. Amongst all the research methods that we've gone through, you choose a suitable method of research, the one that is going to work for you. It could be interview or surveys or usability studies, any one that is going to work for you. If you are in Nigeria and you are building an app for Asians or South Americans, you as well know that you cannot conduct interviews, one-on-one interviews, that way. So you have to probably go for surveys or online or do it online. So you choose a suitable method of research, one that is going to work with you. Next is to write out the research questions. So you can actually define your research goals and write out your research questions in a document. You document them because they are going to be useful. That's where you start your journey, product development. So you have to like document each step and process. So you define your research and write out the research questions. That can be in a document, a Word document, notepad, anything whatsoever to document them. So you proceed to conducting the research, you plan it, and analyze the response gotten from the research. Next slide, please. Next slide. So for the pizza delivery app, this pizza delivery app is going to be like an app, an example of a product that we are going to use throughout the ECX session. So this research serves as the basic or the basis of the product. So for the pizza delivery app, we have the research goals. The research goal can be in the form, the goal of this research is to build an app that delivers pizza to users in any location in the country by allowing them to order any pizza of their choice online, making it easy for them to get fast and easy access to sweet and yummy pizza. This research will help us gather insights on user goals, wants, needs, pains, challenges, and frustration. So your research goal tells your users or your participants about the product or your idea, what you actually have in mind. You can't just stop someone and start asking the person random questions without the person knowing what you actually want to do or your idea. So the research goal is to educate users on on the product and why the reason for conducting the research. So research method used is survey. Next slide, please. So the questions, the research questions, we have personal information, bio, which includes name, age, location, education, occupation, and so on. So this is actually optional because some users don't like, we are all humans, we don't like divulging our personal information to people, to random people. So personal information or bio is actually optional. So you can keep it anonymous depending on the case. But we also have users that would like to share this, they don't mind. So you can get their bio from them or personal information. Just to be safe, users like to keep it anonymous. So you can use like dummy names to represent the church or represent them. Just random things that we just fit in. So another question is, considering a pizza delivery app now, you need to know what the users actually think about this app. In this case, the pizza delivery app now. Let's just say a live scenario, a case scenario. I want to view the pizza delivery app. I don't know whether users actually like ordering food online or pizza online. I don't know if they like the idea. I don't know what features they would love to have on the app. I don't know a lot. So I have to conduct my research. So I document my research goals and chose a suitable research method because I'm a student. I don't have time to conduct an interview, a one-on-one interview. So I chose go with the survey research method, which is faster and online and inexpensive. So these are my questions. I have questions like, are you a pizza lover? Ask the users if they actually love pizza. Because if they don't love pizza, the app is not useful to them. So you use it to gather information on those that actually or potential users. So those that are pizza lovers are like your target users. So when you are analyzing the response from the survey, you actually know or quantize the number of people that will actually use your app. So Another question is, have you ordered pizza online? If no, why? Some people actually love pizza, but they've never ordered for pizza online for different reasons, personal reasons. Some people are too lazy. Sorry, some people prefer going to the shop to buy their pizza because they feel they can see it and like. So there are so many reasons as to why some people have never ordered pizza online. So if no, why? This is like an open-ended question. You don't want a yes or no answer. So did I say that these questions, they can actually be in form of interview questions as well. I actually added some questions that can suffice for all the methods of all the research methods. So this can also be in a survey form, and it can also be serve as interview questions. It's just that the response or feedback will be different. The response you get from the interview will be different from the response you get from the survey method. So do you have a favorite pizza restaurant? This can also like keep you in line. If a user should have a favorite restaurant, you also know those to contact. If you are building a pizza delivery app and you have people with you have Domino's pizza, people that love Domino's pizza, you have them like 80%. You know that your potential stakeholder will be Domino's pizza. So that also helps you to know, and like it's also included in what to consider. So how often do you order pizza or go out to a restaurant to buy? This question, some people don't really like ordering pizza online. Why some people are too lazy to go to the restaurant to order to buy the pizza. So some people can actually love the idea of pizza delivery app in which they don't have to stress. Okay, some people can decide not to eat pizza if the place is far away or the restaurant is far away or the pizza shop is far away. So that can like reduce users. But when you ask questions like how often do you order pizza or go out to a restaurant to buy, this will let you know if users actually love ordering pizzas online or they prefer going to the restaurant to buy. Then we have if you have not used a pizza ordering app in the past, why have you not used one? Okay, some people are just technologically excluded because they don't really use all these tech products. Some people, you can imagine, some people use um some people don't use Android phones, they use the normal phone. That can be like a barrier as to why they have never used the pizza ordering app in the past or at that moment. Because if you don't have an Android phone to order for the pizza, to track your delivery, to pay for it. But nowadays we have USSD you can call, just like the famous Yamoria now. You don't need an Android phone to order for them. All you need to do is to send them a text message or call. That can also be a case to consider. So how easy was it to use and figure out the app? This is under usability now. Some people stopped using pizza delivery apps. Probably the UI is bad, or they can't interact with the app, or the app doesn't solve their problem. I can't use an app whereby I can't pay like online, or probably I can't understand how the app work. Probably I can't locate the order button, or I just don't understand how the app work. So that can easily discourage me from using the app. So if you get the question, what and what not to include in while building your product, be that I wasn't able to locate or I didn't know the purpose of this icon so I couldn't order for the pizza. I couldn't order for pizza. So getting a feedback like that will tell you as to, okay, let me make this place more understandable. Let me use this particular icon so that users can understand it and it will encourage them to use the app. Then we have questions like, what do you look for most in a pizza delivery app and why? Sometimes you just open an app and it's just like the UI will just intrigue. It will be intriguing, like you be wow. Some people use an app because of the beautiful user interface, not for anything. So, what do you look for most in a pizza delivery app and why? It could be the user interface must be fine. I must be able to do this and I must be able to do that. So you have what you want in an app or your needs, what you would like to be in your app. That can also give you a roadmap as to things to consider while building your app. Okay, this person likes user interface. I need to work more on my user interface to engage user and the likes. So what is your favorite type of pizza or what type would you like to try? That's also a question that can be useful. Some people love a particular pizza. That might be a reason why they don't want to like order for the pizza and so on. So when you get that kind of feedback, you can also look for ways as to solving that kind of problem. Maybe engaging those restaurants that have that kind of that person wants. Also, for instance, now if Domino's was not in Nigeria and you're a fan of Domino's pizza, as the UI UX design, when you get that kind of feedback, you can work towards connecting to Domino's Pizza and seeing how can bring their market into Nigeria. That's another business on its own. What is your favorite type of pizza? Okay, I've treated that. What did you find a language translation feature in the app useful? This is also useful as to considering the kind of features you would include in your app. Language translation feature in the app is a very useful app, but to some users, it may probably not be useful. So you need to know what these users actually want. Then lastly, would you like to see a video of how the team prepares the pizza before placing an order? For me personally, I would love to see a video of how the team or the chef prepares the pizza before placing an order. So things like this can be of interest to some users. So when you get feedback from them and they're like, wow, I would love this, you know what to include in your app. All these questions are research questions. There are more questions. So your research questions are based on the product you are trying to build and product you are trying to solve, the problem you are trying to solve. That will determine the kind of research questions that you like use for your research. So these are the research questions for the pizza delivery app. Moving forward, my colleague is going to take you on second part of UX design, which is using the data gotten from the user research phase to actually creating personas, user pain points, journey maps, user stories, charts, and the likes, which will also help you in considering, help you in developing your app or product. Thank you very much. Hello.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I was trying to put off my mic. Okay, guys, if you have any questions, please could you raise up your hand or signify in chat box, please. I think we have a few minutes for questions before Anything else? So if you have any questions, can you raise up your hands? Someone says they have a question. Okay, you can unmute and ask your question, please. Or you can type it without the whichever you want. Yeah.
Okay, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, you can hear you. I can answer this question when you ask it.
Oh, okay. All right, no problem. So you talked about trying to find or solve a problem before you create a product, right? But there are two ways. Like I'm just thinking out loud. There are two ways you can go about it. So I'm asking, which would be preferable or which would be better? Do you pick a group of people, find their problems, and try and solve it by doing your research, or you just pick a problem and then you share with random people and they give you their feedback and you create a product? Which do you think would be better? I hope my question is understood.
Yes, I
On that,
like.
yeah, can it.
Okay, so before you actually build a product or a product, you would already have a user problem, a problem. So the problem can be general. It is going to be a general problem. You can just like pick a problem. For instance, now problems that students in UNILAG are facing. How can you solve this problem? So you pick a problem. Then if you're working in a team or individual, you now start to think about how to solve this problem, ways in which you can solve the problem and tackle it. So possible solutions to this problem. Then you narrow the solution down to just one. So in your question, you said, should you like pick a set of people and think of a problem they are facing and solve that problem, or sorry, can you repeat the question? I'm trying to get to.
Okay, so I was asking which is preferable, right? Is it just like picking a set of people and just working or trying to find a problem in, okay, for example, maybe you can pick an app or something, then find a problem and try to solve it, or you just rather so like that one is specific because you're looking at a group of people, like it's specified, or you just
Yes.
generally see a problem and like you just decide to start getting people's inputs or feedbacks through your research. So like I'm asking which is preferable between the two.
Okay, the most common one is the second one. Actually, pick a problem where people like a general problem where everyone is facing. For instance, now all UNILAG students, a particular problem that we are all facing. You can now think of solutions to solve that problem. The first one is also people also do that. That is like target. It is in the range of target users. For instance, now you can just say you want to solve the problem of those that are blind. How can you help those that are blind to actually use this app? So in that aspect, you are solving a problem specific to the blind. So both of them actually works, but the most common one is solving a problem that is usable to everyone. The purpose of your user research is to make sure that that problem aligns with your solution. Like you might probably think that UNILAG students are suffering from this kind of problem, whereas when you conduct your research, see that it's not actually true, or majority are not actually facing that problem. The user research validates your solution and gives you insight, more insight. From user research, you can actually get more feedbacks. You can get feedback that will help you in implementing your product. For instance, if you conduct a research on the student and you find out that they are not actually facing that problem, I don't see any point in building the product. So both of them work perfectly fine, but number 2 is actually preferable. Solving a problem that is for everybody, like solving problems faced by a majority. Let me put it that way, majority.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, great. Okay. Are there like any other questions from anybody else? So we could go through that. Anybody else? Any questions? You could raise up your hand or you could type in chat box. Let's know. Okay, Joy, can I ask a question, please?
Right. All right. Thank you. So my question is, when do we actually carry out the qualitative and quantitative research? Is it after the product has been designed? And is it more like a feedback research, like a research to get feedback concerning the product that has already been designed?
Okay, so the qualitative and the quantitative research is like a category under the research or research in general. So it's for qualitative now, it is based on interviews. It is based on interviews where we focus on smaller number of people. So you can actually conduct qualitative and quantitative research anytime before the implementation, before you start, after you like in between your design and after. It's just like a category under the research.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Qualitative has to do with quantity. That's the type of data. Let me put it this way. Qualitative and quantitative falls under the type of data gotten from research. When you talk of quantitative, you know it's many, like a large number of data. Then when you talk of qualitative, which is based on interviews, it's like when you get feedback from one-on-one interview, you know, the quality of data you get from them is not much, but it is actually very valuable or useful as compared to quantitative. So qualitative and quantitative is just under type of data gotten from research.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So
So
if you
so you
carry
say
out,
that. Okay, go on. I can listen.
so if you carry out an interview, let's say the foundational research, you can decide to carry out qualitative research or quantitative research. In the sense that if you are going with qualitative, you carry out interviews. Then if you are going with quantitative, you carry out survey. It's just like a class.
Okay, just to get information
Yes.
concerning.
If I'm building an app now, if I'm building like the pizza app now, during my foundational research, I use survey. So I can classify that as quantitative research. Because it has to do with large, like surveys, large amount of data. And but if it's that I carried out interviews, then I'll call it a quantitative survey, a quantitative research. Qualitative research rather.
Yeah.
Because of the type of data I got.
All right. Thank you.
Can I add to that, please?
Yeah, John, you can add
I
to
don't
it
know
for
if
that briefly.
okay. All right, I don't know if my internet is good, but sorry, hi guys, I'm John. So user research is a never-ending process in the product development cycle, right? So user research is like a basket with lots of fruits inside. So you have your bananas, you have your orange, and everything. So in user research, as Latifat said, you have your usability testing, I think it's under the qualitative analysis or research. Then you have your quantitative analysis. So there are lots of approaches in these two spaces. So depending on the kind of problem you're solving is going to depend on what arsenal you're using, what approach you're using. So if I'm trying to analyze what users currently use, let's say I'm trying to redesign an experience, I I can pick usability testing, I guess. Like how is it easy for a user to complete a task using the existing product? Yeah, and if if that doesn't work, right, I could use another tool and another approach until I get my solution. So the idea is to connect the real problem to your solution. So it's like you are solving the real problem, not the one that you think is the problem. Yeah. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, John. Joy, does that answer your question, Joy? I think the responses that both of them gave.
Yes, yes, it does. But I have one more thing. I have one more
Okay.
question. So can both be used that's before brainstorming, that's trying to get the problem, and also after
Okay.
the product has been designed?
Okay, Latifa, can you take that?
Yeah, just like John said, the problem you're trying to solve, like determine whether you use qualitative or quantitative. You can actually use any of them when carrying out your research, be it before designing, before your brainstorming, during design, and all that. So
Okay.
you can actually, what you said now, if you're actually quantitative, if you're actually designing an app or you want to test if this app is actually out, okay, you want to test if the users can, if they can actually use this app. Like you said, you will go for usability studies because that will give him more insight. That will give him more insight as to how users experience the app. But if you are, okay, let's say foundational research now, you can go with any one of your choice. Anyone. It's just that usability studies does not really work in foundational research because usability studies, you have to have a working prototype. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. So what you are trying to do, or when you are trying to test or research, you determine what to use. For foundational research, you can make use of qualitative research such as interviews. Then you can also make use of quantitative research such as surveys for your foundational research. Then for design research or tactical research, you can make use of qualitative research such as interviews, and you can also make use of um, usability studies, which is also under qualitative. You can, okay, you can use a survey for design research, but it won't really be as effective, or you won't really get that kind of feedback that you are expecting from the user. So whatever it is that you are trying to solve and the stage or the phase of your business, determine what research methods to use.
All right, it's clear now. Thank you very much.
Okay, great. Is there are there any other questions? So before any other questions, guys? Okay, I'm going to take it that there aren't any. So thank you very much, Latifa, for okay, I think there's a question from Femi. Femi, you can ask your question. I think this will be our last
Good
question.
evening.
Yeah.
Good evening. Yeah, I just want to ask that, are we going to be pushed to work concerning all this information we are getting? And Again, for this class, hope we are going to get the recording and the slide on our own to read. And my question is just, are we going to be pushed to work with all of these things? Because, the informations are getting more complex now. So are we going to be pushed to work practically on this? That's my question, sir.
Okay, Latifa, let me answer the question. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you, Femi. So the structure in which we are following is after this class, by tomorrow you'd be assigned projects. So okay, you notice that for Latifa, she used the pizza delivery app project. That project is what we're all going to. Let me differentiate that. That project will be used by all the tutors in the coming weeks to teach you. So Latifa has done the quantitative interview questions. Next class will be about analyzing data for pizza delivery app. After that, it will be prototyping on that pizza delivery app. After that, it will be designing the pizza delivery app. So we're going to take that as our own tutors project that you guys use as an example or as something to follow, a visual guide. But by tomorrow, I believe by tomorrow, be assigned projects. Everyone will have a project that they would be following. So let me give a system as how that will go. So by tomorrow, let's say for Femi's project is going to be creating an app to design to order movie tickets online, right? That will be one project they're going to be using to follow how we're doing ours. So you're going to have an assessment on this class that would be to come up with interview questions and probably survey questions as well. And the question will be given to you in Slack. So you have an assessment to actually practicalize or try what you've been taught today. So you're going to have to actually put the knowledge you've got into use by this next week, or by Thursday. So the thing is that it sounds like we have 6 weeks to teach you guys this thing. We actually have 6 days. And the only way to work is if we give you information as much as possible and then show you where to find more and then help you practicalize these things and give you a strong basis to follow. So I get that she's giving you a lot of information to follow in one class. And trust me, try our best to think fit it. But this is the best you could do. If not, we'll be doing you a great injustice. So even though it's much, that's why we have to ask you to always follow through. And I know that you have to practicalize it, but this class is your second foundation class. This is going to be more practical and keep on stepping up like that. So sorry about the information overload, but that's the best that Latifa could do. And it was really, trust me, if I took class for you guys, it would have been longer than this. And I was surprised that she was able to give you guys this in an hour, 30 minutes max. So, which was really good. So we'll give you more practical content moving forward. You're going to actually practicalize. You're going to conduct your interviews by this week. That will be assessment by this week. But we'll give a better format on how to do it on the Slack group chat, so you would know what's happening. You're going to have your personal project. So by the end of this 6 weeks, you should have a project you could show. That's our sort of goal here. So everybody have their own project that they built by the end of these 6 weeks. So try and after every class, try and take knowledge that you've been given here and divulge it to your personal project. So you're going to enter into that. But these are the things that you need to know before you design. It's called UI UX. It's actually UX UI. That's the actual format of it. You have to understand the experience, the theoretical part first before you enter into the actual design, now the visual design process. That is the UI part. So we're doing this so that you don't enter it lost. Trust me, I've done this when I've actually entered the wrong way. Maybe YouTube videos of you, I have to design a new screen, a new phone app, a new this, and then it did not work out for me because I didn't understand what I was building. But with the foundation that we're giving you now, with John's class, with Latifa's class, understanding where you're entering into. So when you're actually on Figma, on XD, on Illustrator, and trying to design all these things, you're not getting it confused. So I'm sorry about the pace, but trust me, it's the best that we could do in time possible. So trust me, you're going to get Pascal content. Is that okay, Femi?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, thank you guys very much. No more questions, right? So I'm just going to round it up. Like I said before, you're going to have an assessment that will be sent to you on Slack. It will be to conduct interview, it will be to create your interview questions and survey questions for your personal projects, which means you have to get your project first. That will be given to you by tomorrow latest. You get your projects. And then by that week, by Thursday, you're meant to create your questions and your survey questions, and maybe conduct an interview by that week with some people around you. We'll talk more about it on Slack. But like I said before, if I tell you that if you're just going to come for all our classes, all the remaining 4 after this, and you assume that you'll be a UI UX designer in those 4 classes, you are gravely mistaken, because there is no way you can be designer by any of this class. What I'm trying to say is not to deter you, but it's to tell you that to gain much from this, you actually have to start by taking what you got from this class and reading up on it on your own. Topics that she has given you, okay, we'll give slide as well, but also topics that have been given you here, check them out on YouTube, right? Do personal research, conduct your own personal research. If not, you're not going to grow as much as you're expecting. There's not much you can get in 6 days of training. So you have to understand that this is your goal. The only people that can win from this course are people that actually can convert this to actual job at the end of the day. That's the only way you win from this course. And we're only giving foundation. We're giving something that is personalized. That is the strong part of this course, is that people that are actually working in these roles, because many of us are students are teaching, but I can testify that almost everybody here, or everybody that is on this call, teaching or tutors are teaching you this thing, they actually work as designers, and they get paid properly as designers. So they're not just telling from their mind, it's something that they actually get paid to do. So I'm telling you, when we come in, if you convert this into money for you, actually, this is the goal. So you need to actually take what you're learning from here and convert it by learning more outside of this. Do your own. You have a whole week between now and next class to learn more about it. So we'll follow through more on Slack, but I was going to give you guys some intro beforehand. So are there any other questions for me or for Latifa before I close the call? So we'll jam on Slack. Okay, so I'm guessing there are no other questions, guys. Thank you so much for your time again, and then we'll keep on giving the best as possible. Sorry for the delays and the problems today, but they'll be inexistent by the coming classes. So thank you very much for your patience, guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Latifa, for your class. It was really nice.
How to know this Latifa?